Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today we're going to preview this Saturday's big boxing weekend. We got 3 fights, 2 big ones. One happening over in England, one happening here in the States. Over in the UK, we've got Kell Brook taking on Brook-Bizier for the IBF welterweight title. Then over here in California, we have Andre Ward in his first official light heavyweight full limit fight against Sullivan Barrera. On the undercard to that, we have Joseph Diaz versus Jason Velez, Diaz being a former Olympian. So we're going to start with Brook and Bizier, real quick one, and then move on from there. Take it away, Rob.
All right, so this fight is kind of like that interim fight between a big name because, as we all know, Kell Brook has been trying to get Amir Khan or some other big name in the ring.
Yep.
And he's had all kinds of setbacks,
Being stabbed.
Again.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of one of those fights in between while the welterweight division kind of sorts itself out. We know we have Pacquiao versus Bradley coming up. We know there's some talk of him versus Cotto at 147. So
there's also Keith Thurman and Sean Porter coming up.
Right, which could lead to a rematch with Porter if Porter wins, or I would say a very highly anticipated fight if Thurman wins.
Yes.
So going from there, this should be a very easy fight for Brook. The guy's athletic, he's big, has very good skill. And I just don't think Brook-Bizier really has the pop nor the skill or athleticism, any of those tangibles and intangibles to really give Brook too much trouble.
Yeah, everything that Brook-Bizier does pretty good, Kell Brook does better. So with that, we expect a systematic breakdown to end mid-rounds.
Yeah.
Between 5 to 7. So we're going to move on. On the HBO card, like we said, opening up that is going to be Joseph Diaz versus Jason Velez. That should be a pretty good fight. Both guys can bring it. Both guys have decent boxing skills, but they do like to mix it up. So that is what we'll see. I think we'll see a lot of leather in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Diaz being just a tad bit sharper with his punches in order to get a unanimous decision. You got anything you want to add for that one?
Nah, not really.
No, that's pretty much it. Enjoy it. It should be a good one. Now, in the main event of that broadcast, we have pound for pound claimant, former super middleweight champion of the world, Andre Ward, taking on a Cuban fighter by the name of Sullivan Barrera. Barrera, very strong guy, full-fledged light heavyweight. Say he fought at cruiserweight too, correct?
Yeah, he has some fights at cruiserweight.
So we got a really big guy taking on a guy who's moving up and was starting to have trouble making that weight. So one of the question marks of many in this fight is how Ward looks at the full 175 limit.
Mm-hmm.
Before I go any further, what you got?
All right, so we got this stuff out the way. Now, I had a chance, we sat in and watched some Sullivan Barrera. We've seen plenty of Andre Ward. People forget that Andre Ward did fight amateur fights at, 170?
Yeah, he won the gold medal at light heavyweight.
So don't kind of look at that size thing. It's kind of one of those progressions with young fighters growing into their bodies and getting bigger as they get older.
Mm-hmm.
And Ward's a pretty solid guy. Yes. Physically strong, so it might have just been a matter of time. Then
it definitely was.
And if he's having trouble making 168 and the guy's very professional, then it does make sense.
Yeah, he's not gonna miss weight.
Unfortunately, I wish he would have fought some of the other names at 168, but we know the promotional issues, this, that, and other. Not gonna get into that. Yeah. So what are we looking at? We're looking at a guy who's only fought twice in the last 3 years, versus Paul Smith and Edwin Rodriguez. Not the top. Well, I think Edwin Rodriguez was in the top 10 at the time. Like
Yeah,
low top
he
10.
was undefeated and creeping towards a title shot.
Right. So, and then Paul Smith was not setting the world on fire at all. So, is there going to be ring rust? Is he going to look sharp? Can he handle the excess weight? Will the bigger opponent affect him? I don't think so. Now with Sullivan-Barrera, very good technique, sets up his punches well, has that extensive Cuban amateur background. But he is a tad bit older, so we don't know who's more shot worn. The guy with 200 to 300 odds. So how many amateur fights? It was a lot.
Yeah, most Cubans get up into the high 100s, like 150 plus, because they don't have a pro program. They have to defect.
Which should change.
Yes.
Because we open up relations with Cuba again.
True.
But with that high number of amateur fights, that translates to kind of shot worn. Again, not shot worn, but still wear and tear, because he is 34 while Ward is 32. But he has a reach advantage, size advantage, and he hasn't had as many fights at the pro level. So where's the experience? Do you take the amateur experience or do you take the pro experience?
In this case, I would go with the pro experience. Well, one, Andre Ward did win a gold medal. He was the last American gold medalist. Mm-hmm. So he has beaten world challenges. And then when he came to the world stage, the biggest stage in his division, the Super 6 tournament, he beat all of the best fighters in that tournament. And Mikkel Kessler, who was the guy who was favored to win. Then Arthur Abraham, another guy who was like the close second favorite to win. Then the dark horse Carl Froch, who ended up in the finals and has done very well afterwards as well. He had a pretty good career before going into the tournament, so that win looks even better now because of Ward's skill. So he has already faced a who's who of fighters in the super middleweight division. There were some guys coming up through the pipe that he could have, knocked down from the throne. But like Rob said, there was a bunch of other stuff going on that didn't happen. So we're going to talk about right now. Like Rob said, he doesn't believe that the question marks that Andre Ward has going into this fight will affect him. Here's why we think that. One, there is a technical difference between the two. Sullivan-Barrera is very technical. He likes to keep his hands up. He has good pop in both hands, and he has a very good base.
And he controls the distance very well. You can see that in the Cairo Murat fight.
Yes. Unfortunately, Andre Ward does all those things better. He's a hair faster. Mm-hmm. He is always on balance as well, and a master of distance and changing levels and giving angles. Things that we haven't seen Sullivan-Barrera do a lot, and we don't know if that's because he hasn't had to or he doesn't know how.
Now, there is one thing that I noticed with Barrera that it bothers me, but no one has exploited it. If you watch our technical toolboxes, we have a stance. Now, not all pros fight this way, but it's have your hands up here and throwing your jab from the shoulder. Barrera holds his here. So, and he kind of cocks back when he throws a jab before he sets up the right hand. That's
what it looks like.
So, if you hear it from here, boom. You see a little cock back, then turn. So what that does is it takes that extra hair of a second off the jab, and as far as speed and getting to its destination. Now I know he has they're straight and it's powerful, but that extra fraction of a second is probably all that Ward needs to either counter with a right over the top or just beating him to the punch with a lead right or a jab.
Yes, and he'll do it. Let's just be honest. He will do that. Secondly, I've noticed that Barrera's technique fades sharply as the fight goes on. Now, he has gone rounds a few times. I don't think he's ever been 12. But in those fights that I did see, like against Jeff Lacey and Carl Murat, both of them didn't go the distance. Mm-hmm. And I don't think either one of them went past 5 rounds.
I don't think so either.
By that 4th and 5th round, those high hands dropped a little bit lower. His punches weren't as sharp. And he seemed to be laboring a bit. Now, this is against not as good competition as Andre Ward. This is hands down the best guy that Sullivan Barrera has fought. And we can't say the same for Andre Ward. So, we see this one going early on being very close. Because neither guy sets the world on fire with their activity levels. They're both very selective. They like to be accurate. And they both have very good defenses. So the first 2, maybe 3 rounds could be close. But after that, we expect Ward to take over and slowly but surely make it a one-sided fight.
Yeah, once he finds he has him hurt, he's not afraid to let his hands go, but he doesn't overexert himself. He lets that come to him. If you saw the Paul Smith fight, at a certain point, he stepped it up, but he didn't overexert.
Yeah.
Against Chad Dawson, he didn't swing for the fences.
Right.
Now with this, I think Sullivan Barrera, he might hurt him at one point.
You mean Barrera hurt?
Barrera hurt Ward. You know, hitting him with something. It happens. Every fighter gets hit.
Right.
But I think at that point, he may try to. This is his chance. This is kind of like that step up to fight, bigger fights.
Right.
So if he doesn't finish him in that span, I think he will tire himself out. That's just me kind of seeing it out there. We have seen Andre Ward hurt before. We've seen him knocked down before. But we've also seen him recompose himself and finish the fight. Also, we have never seen Sullivan Barrera fight on the inside. And if you've seen Andre Ward, he can bully you.
Yep.
He could maul you. But everyone thinks he's just wrestling. No. Watch how he takes a slight step to the left or the right and keeps working.
That is a big difference there. That's why the ref does not break him when he's on the inside, because he's still working, even if his opponent is not. Like they stop and think that the ref's gonna break them, but he's still punching them, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?"
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're working, the ref does not have to break you. It really depends on the ref. Like if he saw the Arthur Abraham fight, he didn't even let them get close to each other before he broke them. But in most of Ward's other fights, if he gets you on the inside, namely Allen Green, like that one was fought almost completely on the inside, and the ref let it go because he was still working.
Mm-hmm.
So that combined with Barrera's already decline, we don't think his tank is there. So that's going to add on to that punishment. Having to wrestle a guy, and this is one of the question marks, can Ward do that to a bigger man? And if he can, it's going to get ugly quick. So we're thinking Ward, 12-round decision, probably wide, maybe a late round stoppage, not like a lights out KO, but an accumulation. He gets worn out.
And the ref steps in.
Right. He may go down, but it's not going to be a concussive lights out knockout. Be great if we had one. Either way, Ward knocks out Barrera, Barrera knocks out Ward. It'd be cool.
We like knockouts.
Yeah. We also like skill, which both guys have. So this is going to be a good fight. Let us know what you guys think. You got anything else?
No, that's it. The only thing, he's training under Abel Sanchez, who Barrera's also working with Triple G in his camp. So that might help Triple G tremendously. That might help not just Triple G, but that might help Barrera tremendously. So that's an intangible. That's something that has yet to be seen that will let us know something.
Yep. So we'll find out on Saturday. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like this video. Hit us up in the comment section below if you've got anything you want to add. Make sure, if you have not done so, subscribe. You can hit us up on Facebook, Google+, and Instagram at Capital Combat. You can hit us up on our email, capitalcombat@gmail.com. We'll get you in the combat mailbag. Stay tuned for the technical toolbox, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick crime, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.